Casey clutched at the side of her abdomen and winced. The stitches were still extremely fresh. The doctor told her she was lucky to be alive. The bullet managed to narrowly escape any vital organs. "So Casey, please explain to me what happened last night," the officer sitting beside her hospital bed said gently. He could tell she was still processing. "Okay, we were at my parents' cabin. We were supposed to stay for the weekend. It's up by Lake Chelan, but kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's the first time our family has been together for a while." "What happened before you went to bed?" "It was just a normal night. We got there late and we went to bed early. The next thing I knew, I woke up to loud bangs. When I realized what it was, I ran to my parents' bedroom to find them on the ground." She paused, her eyes watering, and the officer told her to take her time. "There was so much blood. It's like the whole room was covered in it. Then I heard Chloe scream from her room." Casey wiped a tear. "When I got there, he had already shot Chloe. Her blood was everywhere too. I didn't see his face. He was wearing a ski mask or something. Then he pointed his gun and shot me." "And how did you manage to call the police?" the officer asked. "I pretended I was dead until I heard him leave. I had my cell phone and I dialed 911 before I passed out. You guys came before I lost too much blood, I guess. And then, well, the only thing I remember after that was waking up here." She winced again, clutching her side. "Okay, Casey, that's all I will ask for now. I can tell you're in pain. I'll come back tomorrow." "Okay. I'm really sorry about your parents. We're doing our best to catch the assailant. It's a miracle that you and Chloe survived." Casey's eyes widened. "Chloe survived?" The officer smiled. "Yes, it is really a miracle. She was in pretty critical condition, but they were able to stabilize her. She's in room 205, but she's not fully awake yet." Casey's heart pounded as the officer left the room. She was certain Chloe had woken just in time to see Casey moments before she shot her. She had sworn she hadn't felt a pulse. By the time she had shot herself, she was sure Chloe was dead. She had spent weeks researching, locating the precise area to insert a non-fatal gunshot wound for herself, yet somehow managed to do the same for her sister without even trying. Casey was supposed to be the only survivor. It should be her name alone in the headlines. She was supposed to be the sole beneficiary. Even worse, she could not risk the chance that Chloe may remember. She recalled what the officer had said. Room 205. "My daughter's boyfriend was found dead, buried in the woods near Boulder Park last Friday. Someone found his body after their bloodhound dug him up during a walk. Stabbed 14 times, covered head to toe in bruises and wounds. Based on forensic evidence, they believe the murder to have taken place early Friday morning. The last text they found on his phone that day was to her at approximately 2 a.m. "On my way, but gotta meet my hookup at the park first. My daughter's boyfriend was despicable. A pothead without any career aspects. A sleazebag. He's cheated on her twice that I know of, probably more. When I saw her last, I overheard her talking on the phone with her best friend. She suspected he was cheating yet again. To be honest, I'm not mad that he's dead. Ever since she started dating him, she's withdrawn from us. She quit her high-paying job to spend more time with him. She's been asking us for money. She is better off without him. Except that now the police think she did it. She does not have an alibi for that night. No way to prove where she was. My daughter has a temper. Everyone knows it. I have to admit, from an outsider's perspective, it looks bad for her. She was just brought into the station for questioning a couple of hours ago. If I didn't know any better, I would be worried for her, but I am certain she didn't go to the park that night. What she doesn't know is that my husband and I are always watching over her. I put a tracker in her car when she was 16. We monitor her phone. We read her texts. We know where she is and what she's doing at all times. She wasn't at that park. I am 100% sure that my daughter did not kill her boyfriend, but I can't tell the police this because I know who did. My husband doesn't know I put a tracker in his car too. He doesn't know that I woke up that night while he was gone. He doesn't know that I can see his location at Boulder Park at 2:18 on Friday morning. My girl's name is Sammy. I adopted her 3 years ago when I was going through a tough time. Sammy had a pretty rough life before she came to me. All the shelter told me was that her last owner was forced to relinquish her, or some mumbo jumbo like that. I didn't need to know the details, just took one look at her and I could tell she had been put through hell. She was so timid and scared, snapped at me every time I tried to pet her. Chunks of her hair were missing, and there were cuts everywhere. It took 3 flea baths to get those damn things off of her. It took about 6 months for Sammy to warm up to me, but now 3 years later she won't leave my side. But Sammy ain't so trusting of other folks. My neighbor's niece came running up to Sammy one day. Sammy got scared and snapped. Her mom started yapping that they were going to get her put down. Nothing means more to me than Sammy. I don't have no children or family to speak of, so I wasn't going to let that happen. I took her and we moved out. Got a big old property for Sammy to roam freely. She loves it. But about 3 months ago it happened for the first time. Sammy brought me a gift. Well, an offering, I think is more like it. A pretty girl, maybe 20. Sammy stood proudly over that poor girl's bloodied body, as if waiting for some kind of reward. By the looks of it, she had dragged her for miles. The girl begged me to let her go, kept saying she'd never tell. I just told her to leave. Sammy looked at me like I was nuts. I spent the next 2 weeks waiting for that girl to come back around with the cops, waiting for them to take Sammy away. But she never did. She was true to her word. The next girl wasn't as forgiving. When I tried to apologize, tried to explain, she started hollering that I better say my last goodbyes to Sammy. I couldn't bear the thought. I grabbed my shovel and nailed her in the head. I tried everything, keeping Sammy locked in the barn, tying her to the fence, keeping her in the house, but she always manages to get out and bring back another. Plus, my girl don't deserve to be caged up like that. They're always young, pretty, and blonde. I think I know why Sammy's owner had to relinquish her. But it's not fair. Sammy don't know any better. Some prick made her like this. She don't deserve to die. So I do what I need to do to protect my girl. She brings them to me, I finish them off, and bury them in the yard. You just kinda get used to the mess. As long as Sammy is safe, that's all that matters. It was clear something was going on with her. Normally she'd walk clumsily through the kitchen in the mornings, cursing the day she made her coffee. She was never in a decent mood before 10 a.m. But every day for the last week, she'd walk into the kitchen with a small smile on her face, as if for the first time in a long time she'd found something to look forward to. There was nothing new on the calendar, nothing that would suggest she had anything coming up. I couldn't understand why she was acting differently. When she started to come home late, I couldn't help but get suspicious. She never cared much to see her friends, but she was making plans left and right. I could only assume she was having an affair. After 4 years of marriage, maybe she was getting bored. When she got home earlier this evening, I could tell something was different. She seemed relieved, as if ready to get something off of her chest. I didn't mean to kill her. I didn't want to kill her. But I had no choice. She made me. She made me watch her convulse in pain before she sank down into the water. When Peter came home, he stared in horror at Mary's dead body in the tub, and all I could do was remain frozen, floating next to her. He unplugged my cord and yanked me out of the water, then grabbed Mary's body and sobbed. I wish I could tell him I didn't mean to.